Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we often talk about the role of aircraft carriers and hypersonic weapons, excuse me, in the great power competition. But I'd like to zero in on what people bring to the fight, specifically our military personnel. Leaders in the People's Republic of China have repeatedly raised concerns that they lack personnel who are both capable and highly skilled for modern warfare. A report for the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission found that, quote, many People's Liberation Army commanders are still judged as incapable of properly assessing situations, making operational decisions, deploying forces, or leading forces, unquote. We don't want to underestimate China's capabilities, but that is a pretty sorry state of affairs. Dr. Lin, you are an expert on China, and you were the senior advisor advising the Department of Defense in both the Obama and Trump administrations. So tell me, Dr. Lin, how important are personnel in winning on the battlefield?
Thank you, Senator Warren. The personnel is absolutely important. As you indicated, and as I mentioned earlier to Senator Smith, I think that is one of the major weaknesses that the Chinese assess to be within their PLA. They aren't worried about whether they can get another, for example, Dongfeng 41 missile or another submarine. They're worried about whether their personnel can perform, so absolutely critical.
Okay, people. But after years of having forces that have little more than a ninth grade education, PRC is now starting to attract significantly more educated recruits. Dr. Lin, how successful has the PLA been at retaining more skilled troops?
So you are correct in saying that China, the PLA is attracting more educated PLA recruits, but we don't really have really good statistics on how they are in terms of retaining them. But I would say that the respect for the PLA broadly in China is nowhere close to the respect for the U.S. military in the United States.
It's an interesting point on this because unlike the Chinese government, we actually care about our people. Still, we have our own recruiting and retention challenges here at home. For example, U.S. military families living in unsafe housing or struggling to access health care that they need. So I'm looking forward to working on the personnel subcommittee with Senator Scott to tackle these problems. Dr. Lin, if the United States substantially disinvested in the programs we have to support our military workforce, things like access to child care and violence prevention programs, would that help us or hurt us in our effort to maintain a competitive advantage over China when it comes to the quality of our personnel?
I think it would definitely hurt us. Having worked with many military officers, I know how difficult it is to be able to sacrifice for the nation while also taking care of needs at home. So without the United States government helping them with the child care, the home portion, I think it makes their day jobs much more difficult.
Good, and I see our other witnesses both nodding yes as well. Do I take it you both agreed on this?
We certainly do, and look, we can see the performance of the Russian military at this moment is a case in point, a country that does not care about the quality of its personnel, only the quantity that can be thrown at the battlefield. And all of the issues that you've just raised are one of the reasons why Russia has not been performing as we might have expected.
Yeah. You know, go ahead, Mr. Zakon.
I completely agree, Senator Warren, and one of the things this committee does annually when they report out the defense authorization bills, what it's done for the men and women in uniform. I think that's the example and why we're able to realize these benefits.
Yeah. I raise this today in this context because some Republicans want to cut programs that support our troops and our military families. You know, they talk about fiscal responsibility, but I see two big problems. First, anyone who's using a debate over the nation's debt limit to crash our economy in order to extract massive spending cuts is being reckless, not responsible. But second, make no mistake, the same folks who claim to care about the size of the Pentagon budget will continue to give a blank check for weapons programs that go to billions of dollars of cost and not to our personnel. The Pentagon funding these Republicans want to cut is the part that goes to safe housing and medical care for our troops. I get it. There's plenty of waste to cut in the Pentagon's budget. but programs that support our troops and inspire them to continue to put their lives on the line for our country aren't waste. They protect our greatest strength as a nation, our people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.